Live in PDX brings you closer to the talent, artists, events, and businesses. Live in PDX supports and appreciates what all professions, individuals, and groups have to offer. We'll take you to the music, to the fashion, to the hot rods and sports. All the entertainment and food you can indulge yourself in, and more. So join us live in PDX. Hey, what's happening, world? Hey, another episode. We are again live in PDX. It's your guy, J Mac. Another dozen media exclusive. Right now, I'm at the studio, Wilde Vision Studios, with the man himself, Mr. Julian James Wilde. How you doing today?
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for joining us. I'm excited, man. I've been a fan of your work for many years, you know what I'm saying? And
since I shot the cover
since you shot
of
the
You
cover.
Cruise.
Right. Very first album cover.
I had to remind you.
You did, man. I was totally like, wait a minute, you were that guy. That's crazy, man.
I had actually just gotten to Portland at that point. I'd put in 7 years in Seattle, and one thing or the other brought me to Portland. And Mav, who was managing you guys, was one of the reasons I came to Portland.
Is that right?
So the fact that I shot your guys' cover in my studio at that point that's what was happening for me.
That's cool, man. Yeah. That is so cool. Now, you've done other things prior to launching your Wilde Vision Studios. You know, you were doing nightclub stuff for a while, right?
Well, you know, for about, I had created the Crown Ballroom, and that was upstairs at the Adriana Hill. But the Adriana Hill, I had that for 7 years, but that actually was a special event space.
Right.
We would do weddings, corporate parties, and we would do them 3 times a week.
And photo shoots, right?
Yeah, and I never stopped shooting.
Okay.
But there came a point where my focus definitely had to be on the Crown Ballroom and the Adriana Hill. And so that we could create a space where we could attract 400 to 500 people a night.
Let me ask you this: what made you want to first pick up the camera and start photographing? What sparked that interest?
What a long and strange story that is.
Well, we got a little time.
Right? I got to go back to. I'll go back to junior high when I would find myself. This is a story that I usually don't tell. I would find myself in a Safeway, if you will.
Okay.
And if Mom had gone shopping, she might find me in front of the hair color part of the deal, where all of these beautiful pictures of these beautiful girls on the cover of these hair things.
Okay, like hair color.
They are.
Yeah.
And I would stand there looking at those girls and go, wow, this would be fun. And that was the first time that it occurred to me that would be fun. And that was the only kind of association I had with that until I was in college, and I was in the bookstore at Rutgers University, and I was going through the books, and I picked up a Helmut Newton book. Was it White Women? I think it was White Women. I cracked that open, and I started thumbing through that. And of course, I wasn't a photographer at that point.
Okay.
I hadn't even thought of photography. But there was a picture in there, page 57 of Charlotte Rampling. Charlotte Rampling had just done, she was the hottest starlet in Hollywood, and she had just done Night Porter.
Okay.
I don't know, this is before your time.
Probably before my time.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. It was Night Porter, but Helmut Newton was shooting her in this, as he would, shooting her in this elegant suite in a European, probably Paris, Monte Carlo kind of a thing.
Okay.
And she was sitting on a dining table and looking over her shoulder. It was a nude shot. And she was looking over her shoulder at the camera. And that one picture, if you want to talk about the power of photography,
yes,
that one picture changed my life. That one picture, I thought, that's what I want to do. And I was in the middle of college at that point, and it wasn't, that's what I want to do.
Yes.
It's like, no, this is what I have to do.
Gotcha.
I stopped going to classes at that very day. And I thought, I've got to do this. I've just got to do this. And it wasn't Helmut Newton's work in general, and it wasn't really the idea of photography, but it was the idea of photography blended with eroticism, beautiful locations, and
beautiful women.
And stunning women. And that particular equation really fired my jets. At that point, there was no stopping me. I ended up having my own studio a couple of years after that, and it just took off, and there was no turning back. Gotcha. There was never a moment where I thought, you know, do I really want to do this? Am I up for this? Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Those questions never occurred to me. I was off and running, and this is what I'm doing.
That is sweet.
And there's no way around it.
How have you had to make adjustments with the technical aspects of things? Let me say that, because when you first started, the cameras were a little bit different then. Did you have your what you call it, the dark room where you do your own film?
And I loved that. I love getting my hands in there and working the prints. And
Yes.
But it's a longer story. But I knew at the age of 16, I found out that I was colorblind. So I thought that color photography was not available to me. That's just what I thought. So I shot black and white on film for almost 20 years.
Wow.
I mean, that's all I did. I didn't shoot a speck of color. I shot black and white on film for 20 years, because I could develop my own film. I could see the stuff now.
Right.
And I printed my own stuff, which means I could shoot, and an hour later have a print in my hands.
Now
It
you
would
went
take
to school?
45 minutes to develop it.
You
No.
went to school for all of that?
No. When I told my dad, I said, I'm going to do this.
Uh-huh.
He said, well, you know, isn't there the Claremont School of Photography down in California? He said, well, shouldn't you go to school? My first thought was, I have no interest in learning how they're doing it. I want to do this on my own. If it means I fall down over and over and over, I'm willing to fall down, pick myself up as many times as it takes to learn this on my own. That's a hard way to do it.
Hey.
But that's the way I was going to do it.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
I just want to learn this on my own. I want to do it my way and see where that takes me.
That's dope. It's
But that's a harder road.
Yeah, it is.
So,
like
yeah.
self-taught musicians, you know, I had a couple friends that never went to a music class, you know, never studied notes, don't know how to read music, but they know what they want.
Yeah.
And they hear it in their head, and they train themselves how to get those sounds out of their head onto the tracks. Do you do something similar? Like
So self-taught is a hard road. Sometimes I'll reflect on the fact that we were talking about the fact that I do workshops here, and I wish that I could have done a workshop with myself years ago and start out right here, start out at this level.
I got you.
But I started out, I'm using a camera that when you take an image, you don't even know if it's in focus for 20 years. For 20 years, you don't even know if that image is in focus because it's not digital. You don't know if you even have a decent exposure. I did that for 20 years. So that teaches you something about photography that you can't learn off a digital camera. That takes a picture, now you look at it, you know how to adjust the exposure.
Right.
I did 20 years of taking a picture and not knowing whether my exposure was on or not.
Wow.
That is a real education.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you pick up photography now, when somebody gives you a digital camera and you take a picture, you're almost at this level right now.
Yeah.
That's a different learning curve.
With the technology.
Oh yeah.
So do you still use some of your old cameras as well as the new?
Not at all. I'll never go back to a film camera.
Okay.
Because digital is so convenient.
Yes.
And
plus you're super busy, so you don't have
it's
time to
the
probably
immediate. It's the immediate response
Yeah.
that tells you right now you're off to the races. You know, and it gives you a confidence to get so much more done, and in a X amount of time.
Gotcha.
You know, so yeah, digital is obviously where it is. I think guys will go to their film cameras out of some sense of nostalgia, but I'm too busy for that. We need to get in and get it done now.
I got you. So do you find that, I mean, I love your studio, the way you got it set up in here and the various pictures I see, and then the you know, the slides that we're looking at right
Well,
now.
but everything changes. Like, see that piece of furniture?
Yes.
Sold long ago. We'll bring in some furniture that inspires us. We'll shoot it for maybe a couple of months, maybe a year, and then it's out the door because I need room for something new.
Gotcha.
Because I got to change up the whole palette.
Like that white leather couch right here now.
Right, yeah, that's gone too.
Right.
Yeah. You bring it in, you shoot it, you get tired of it. It's fun to have friends that say, do you need a sofa?
Right,
You know?
right.
They come and get it. But that's how we keep it interesting. That sofa right there.
I see.
Shawna, we have kept, but the sofa's gone.
Shawna's still here.
Yeah,
right on,
yeah.
right on.
But that's the trick to having a studio like this. And my kind of photography is all about the ambience of the place. And I
Okay.
never want it to look like a photography studio.
It
That's one
doesn't.
thing
It
that
looks
I.
like you're somewhere.
Yeah,
like a,
you are somewhere
like
else.
a palace or yeah.
And my
that's what I
favorite
get. It's
question
very
about my stuff is,
elegant.
well, where was this shot? Because it doesn't look like a photography studio.
It doesn't.
I would have no interest in even my place looking like a photography studio. That would just, it wouldn't occur to me. I wouldn't
got
want to
you.
do it, you know? So I do this, and I have a lot of fun with that. I actually went to school for architecture, so you're kind of seeing me at full stride when you see the architecture that I built and the
Wow.
girls that I work with and the styling that my wife does. You're really seeing what we do.
It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. Now, do you focus mainly just on your in-studio photography, or is there anything you ever do outside of the studio, like on location shots?
J-Mac,
Or?
I shoot two places.
Okay.
Here and at the beach.
Okay.
That's it.
okay,
That's it.
Okay.
There's no other place. You're not gonna see me on the street shooting.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Yeah, because I looked at a lot of your work and I've never seen any.
I
like,
started out on the street though.
got
I
you.
started for
I got
years.
you.
I shot a couple years on the street until I found my first studio. Here's something I've never talked about, but on my first studio, Raven doesn't even know this, but when I found my first studio, it was just $700, which is a lot of money back then. Okay, it was $700. I didn't have $700, but I did have two cameras that I could pawn. So I pawned my two cameras,
To get this-
got the $700, opened up my studio, but I still had to get my cameras back.
Gotta get your cameras.
So if you want to talk about scary times, that was a little bit scary, but I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I was gonna do it.
That's an interesting
so
sacrifice.
I was
mean,
willing to give away the only thing I had to
get your
achieve
place.
more and to achieve a studio.
So how'd you get your
And I
cameras
did that.
back? How'd you get your cameras back?
Well, I had some girls that I was shooting through the Seattle Models Guild, and they came in and they ordered prints.
Okay.
I got my $700, but you know what? The thing about rent, it comes up again next month.
up again.
So I had to pawn my cameras one more time.
Wow.
And then I got my cameras back, and that was the last time I had to pawn my cameras. But there was a moment where I was standing there with rent due and no camera to shoot with. So that was kind of exciting, as exciting goes.
I got you. I got you. What's the highlight of what you do? I mean, when I talk to other artists, as well as photographers or videographers for that matter, what is really what sets you off? Like, man, this was a great day. This is whew.
I'm going to be honest with you. Honestly, almost every day is like that. Almost every day is like that.
Wow.
So I'm in a situation where I'm fortunate enough to shoot with the people I want to shoot with. Okay.
great.
I'm not a guy that has a sign on the door that says photographer for hire. Did you
Right.
see that sign on the door?
I did not.
That sign's not on the door,
It's
baby.
not on the door.
So I get to shoot with the people that I want to work with, and
Mm-hmm.
that's probably the greatest. That freedom is really the greatest joy in this business, is getting to do what you want to do
Yes.
every day of the week
Yes.
with the people that you want to play with.
Can't beat
And
that.
I can't find a better equation. That's for me, that works.
That's
That's
cool.
I'll sign up for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Is there-
that's what we're doing.
That's
you
what's
know?
up, man.
The people that you see on here, these are the people that I get to play with on a day in, day out basis.
I gotta come and hang out a little more, I think.
You need to. You need to. Yeah.
Is there anyone that you haven't shot that you would like to shoot? I'll let you think about it.
I said I'd do that,
right.
but I was going to give you a longer pause. Not so much. Not so much. My photography is not so much, if you will, about the model, but it's about the experience.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like if I put a famous model on there, that shot gets better.
Right.
Some magazine might think it's better because, oh, it's Madonna.
Mm.
But I'm not really drawn to that. I'm drawn to creating what I can create with the people that are in my life.
Got
you know, because that means something to me.
Sure, sure.
And if I shot Madonna, well, what would that mean to me? Not really a heck of a lot. It might impress somebody.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything to me, you know.
Yeah.
So I shoot with the people that I care about. You know?
How do you set the tone for your shots? You know what I mean? Because they're very like sensual. They're very glamorous, and they're very kind of laid back, sexy. You know what I mean? How do you get the models into that vibe?
Well, there's a couple of things that go into that. One of the things, it's fair for me to say that a lot of this stuff happens in my head first. Except for that picture. She's one of our dear friends, and I was shooting her from the other side. Raven comes around the back of the piano, and Raven goes, "You got to see this." And I come around the back of the, and I go, "Okay, well, that's worth shooting." And that happened to be the shot.
Right,
you know,
right.
from the whole thing.
So how's it working with Raven? Because she's your eye in the sky, I think. You know
Well,
what
no,
I mean?
she's more than that.
Okay.
That blanket that she's lying on,
Yes.
Raven found that on the internet and said, "We've got to go pick that up." But Raven does find virtually all of the furniture. All of the furniture in here.
Raven, I need
she
you to
finds
help me
it.
with my
Yeah.
my home.
And she dresses all the models. I mean, all of the jewelry and everything. So she's definitely, she's not the unsung hero in my book. She's thus the hero in my book.
That's sweet,
because she's
man.
making a lot of this happen.
That's absolutely wonderful, man. I dig it.
But the tricky part, the secret weapon part of the whole thing is having a relationship with your models where, well, you have a great relationship, you know? And that's one of the reasons that I love shooting with kind of a core of people more than bringing in somebody new all the time. You need new blood all the time, but I don't focus on that. I don't focus on tracking girls down that I want to shoot. I let them come to me that want to shoot with us because that tells me they like what we're doing.
Yes.
And if they like what we're doing, and I sure as hell like it, we've got something to work with.
That's great.
You know?
That's great.
But having that relationship where I know that if I have an idea for a shot, that so-and-so can do it, that's what makes it happen. You know, if I have an idea for a shot and I don't have somebody that can do it, hey, I've had ideas that I've had in my back pocket for years.
Yes.
7, 8 years. Couldn't do that shot, didn't have the right girl.
Wow.
You know? So it's a blend of kind of knowing what you want and then having people that can pull it off.
Okay,
You know?
okay. Well, we had some questions from some of our viewers that wanted to ask these questions, you know, when they knew that I was going to be interviewing you. So I want to ask you a couple of these just so we can answer a couple of questions for our folks out there. All right, this is a good one right here. When you go on vacation, do you take your camera with you? Because it's like, you know, sometimes it's like, you know, you go on vacation, it's like, hey, I'm turning my cell phone off. I don't want to do any work. I'm just going to be relaxing.
You know, on vacation, I'm a different dude.
Okay.
I'm the dude that Raven loves when I'm on vacation.
Okay.
More so than any other time. But when we go on vacation, we unplug. I mean, we're gonna bring a tent.
Okay.
We're gonna camp out on the river.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna collect rocks. That's
There
what I
you go.
do. I
That's
collect
what's
rocks.
up.
And that is when Raven will turn to me and say, you know, Julian, you're at your best right now.
That's dope.
The rest of the time, I don't know. But,
okay.
Yeah, so we totally unplug. No, I don't even think the conversation of are you going to bring your camera never even comes up because there's no way.
Yeah.
We're unplugged all the way.
I got you.
You know, and so for 4 or 5 days, that's the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. One other question. If you weren't a professional photographer right now, what would you be doing?
A lot of people will say cab driver, but I can't drive. I can't drive to save my life. I'm lucky enough that there's just nothing else I want to do.
Oh, wow.
And I think that coincides with the fact that I'm not really qualified to do anything else other than my first job, which was as a head lifeguard. I was a good lifeguard.
Okay.
But that was in college. But that's the last other job I've had. So I can't, and I don't see anybody doing anything that I go, you know, I want to do what he's doing.
Got you.
I do have people kind of want to do what I'm doing, but I don't see anybody doing something that I want to do. So I'll do this until the bitter end, or whatever it is. You know,
Yeah.
I'm happy doing this. I have a couple friends around my age that will go, you know, Julian, what are you going to do when you retire? I'm never going to retire. I don't want to play golf. There's nothing else I want to do. You know, so I'll do this.
That's
you know,
sweet, man.
I have the same passion for it that I had when I was 22.
Wow.
It hasn't dimmed an iota. And I'm lucky that way.
Because it's always new. It's always something creative. You know, when you're creative, it's like it's something new every time.
A lot of my friends will talk about like having writer's block or having a photographer's block. And I feel really lucky that I've never had that. I've never had a moment where I don't, what am I excited about? And that's kind of my question that I ask my friends a lot of times, what are you excited about? Because I mean, this is what I'm excited about. And it luckily enough, hasn't changed.
That's sweet, man. That's sweet. How does it feel to have so many of the models that you work with posting, you know, your photographs and showing you all that love? Because I look at some of the models and I'll go to their page and they got like, wow, she shot that at Julian's studio. That was done there, because I recognize the backgrounds and I see it a lot, you know. How does that feel to have your work spread in so many different avenues and so many of your models supporting you this way?
It's very gratifying. You know, I couldn't say anything other than the fact that it's very gratifying. And for people to understand what we're doing and want to be a part of it, it's the greatest compliment that I could think of.
Sure.
It means a lot to me. And I have a tendency to work with those people. People that are on the fence about me, they'll be on the fence for 20 years. You know, I have a tendency to work with the people that have to work with me.
Gotcha.
That I'm not gonna stop modeling until I shoot with Julian. You know, and I hear that from time to time.
Yeah, it's
I've
out
been
there.
wanting to shoot with you.
It's out there
For 20 years.
Right.
Well, 20 years, baby. It's come and gone. That train left the station.
Hey. So do you have people like banging your door down to get in here and to, you know, get a shot with you, or are you just kind of like content
if
with
you were
what
talking
have?
about social media, God
Yes.
knows I've got, you know, probably 30, 40 girls that think they're gonna shoot with me at some point. Whether that happens or not, I can't tell you.
I got you.
But I have a tendency to have a certain thing in mind. I'm looking for a certain look, and if the girl doesn't have that look, the chance of getting here slim to far between, because it's a certain look that we're going for.
Sure.
And a certain look works in here.
Yes.
Imagine that girl wearing a Daisy Duke top and frayed jeans.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. It's not going to
wouldn't
work.
work.
So
Yeah.
I have a certain kind of branding thing that I am always following.
Yeah.
I don't shoot a different look because it's different.
Right.
You know, I have a certain look that works for me, and I'm sticking with it.
There you
It's
go.
just kind of what you're seeing. You know?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
I'm enjoying
and I did have a girl do that. I did have a girl show up,
Uh-huh.
and she pulled out the Daisy Duke top and the frayed jeans. And I looked at her and I said, "Honey, where do you see yourself shooting that here?" You know.
Outside?
It does happen. It does happen. Yeah, I'll take you out to the park. But that doesn't happen a lot because most people understand what we're doing, and they kind of want to sign up for that.
Got you.
And that's what keeps it going.
That's cool. What's one of the most difficult things about getting that perfect shot that you've ran into? Because I know a lot of photographers will say, you know, I might take 200-300 snaps of this same, you know, person to get that one.
I think we're different in that category.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is because I use a core of models on a regular basis.
Okay.
And I know what I want. Whatever the shot is, I really know what it is. And they all know that I'm going to model that shot for them. It's just what I do.
Yes.
You know, I will.
I mean, you did it for us.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it in lingerie, but I will do that. I will model that shot, and I do it almost 100% of the time because I do know what I want. I know the light's coming from this direction. I know that I'm shooting a horizontal shot, which means the composition has to work this way, and that kind of tells me, you know, the parameters of what's going to work. I do it. The models do it. And I'll give them the opportunity to kind of play with it, you know, make it their own, whatever. But if I'm using models that I know what they can do, and I know what they can do well, and I know what they bring to the party, honestly, Shawna or Wendy could tell you that I can get the shot in 5 or 6 frames.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't go on for half an hour. I never stand back and say, do something. No one's ever heard me say that. Because I know what I want. I'm not here to see you do whatever it is that you do.
Right.
Because I know what we're going to do.
Right.
You know. But when you know a girl can do that and send that shot to the moon, it doesn't take very long to get it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I love your work, man. I
Thanks.
really do. we're gonna go to another viewer's question real quick. Let's see.
I'm gonna take another drink.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Okay. If you were a superhero, who would it be?
Well, this is going to date me. But the only superhero for me really is Superman.
Superman.
Because he could fly, baby.
Yeah,
He could fly. And that X-ray vision, what could be more fun?
Hey.
So no, it would have to be Superman.
All right, all right. Shout out to all of our viewers worldwide. Big ups to everybody that sent in a question. Hey, so Julian, tell me this. What's the difference between the different cameras you use? Is there one main camera that just does it for you, or do you use multiple ones to get the various shots?
You know, for me, it's not about the camera. It's not about the camera whatsoever. I have photographer friends that are camera geeks, and they will talk about their cameras until the cows come home. I couldn't care less. For me, it's, well, I have a Mark IV Canon, and I've got a zoom lens on it that I hardly ever change. I've got, what is my, 24 to 135. I can shoot everything I do with that lens, with that camera, without getting fancy whatsoever. Wow. Every picture you see was probably taken with that zoom lens and with that one camera. There was a point where I had 17 cameras.
Shout out to Canon.
Shout out to Canon. Hey, let's get somebody from Canon.
You see what this guy is doing with your camera?
Yeah, there was a point where I had 17 cameras. I had Nikons and Canons and Olympus and a Pentax. Those days, I'm not fascinated with the camera thing at all. Now I've got a camera that
you found your tool that
does it all.
Does it all for you.
And in my case, it's not so much about the bells and the whistles.
Sure.
It's more about light. And even with light, when photographers come in here, I'm trying to tell them that it's not so much about the light you use, it's how you modify the light. It's how you create light. It's how you manage the light. And a lot of times it's about creating light that is authentic for that particular situation. And a lot of times if you just bring out a strobe and an umbrella, it's not going to look real. It's going to look like a strobe and an umbrella in a photography studio. So I'm in a situation where I am usually designing and creating the light for that shot.
Wow, so it's a lot that goes into it, except for just the model and the setup. It's the lighting as well.
Yeah, but it's about modifying the light more than using the light that the lighting people give you. Because when you do that, your lighting looks like everybody else's. And I make a point of my lighting not looking like everybody else's. I want it to look like my light, the way I would light it, you know.
You ever thought of teaching?
Workshops are as close to it as I get. My father was a teacher.
Oh,
coach.
really?
Yeah, so I'm familiar with that.
I mean, you just have so much knowledge, you know what I mean, as far as, you know, your experience and what you've gone through that could maybe shortcut some of the other photographers from having to go through that. That's the reason I asked. I know.
Well, I do like the workshop format the best.
Have you done workshops?
Oh,
You've
yes.
done some workshops. I think you were telling me
I
about.
don't know if you knew this.
Yeah.
I do regular workshops. I'll do. I'd like to do one every other month. I don't like really doing more than that.
Yes.
But about one every other month. I get a lot of photographers out of Seattle that come.
Okay.
For Portland photographers, I'm just the guy across the street. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm something special if you're out of Seattle.
Right, that's
they
how
have
it
to
always
drive
is
all the way
sometimes.
down here, and they got to drive all the way back. But I do like sharing what I know works, and being in that live. And this is what it looks like, and this is what we're wanting to see here. I can't imagine. I wouldn't enjoy teaching in a classroom.
Sure,
you know, but
sure.
but in a workshop, it's so live and it's so real and it's so immediate, and it's what you see is what you get.
I got you.
And I love setting that shot up and going, well, this is how we're going to get it, and this is how we're going to light it.
Yes, yes.
Makes it very real.
Right, right. Has your work ever landed somewhere where you're like, man, I never thought my photographs would be in this or that?
You know, I don't do that kind of thing. There's a lot of avenues that I could do to enter my photographs in context or in a contest.
Yes.
We actually, backstory,
Yeah.
one of my first shots with Raven won a contest in an international contest in erotica.
Wow. Go Raven.
So, yeah, go Raven.
Hey, tell everybody out there, because you
But I don't
mentioned her.
do that a lot.
I got you. You mentioned Raven throughout the interview. Tell the people out there who Raven is.
Raven's my wife and my stylist, and makes most of these great things happen. Even that thing that she's wearing
Yes.
from, you know, all that, that's all Raven.
Raven.
You know, but she has a pretty good idea of what I'm looking for. So when she says, "What do you think of this?" 9 times out of 10, I think it's great.
Yeah.
Because she knows what I'm looking for, and she knows how to kind of dial that in.
You guys are a pretty good team, it sounds like,
For
together.
20 years, it's been working pretty good.
That's sweet. That's sweet, man.
So it was working 20 years. You go with that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Are there any photographers that inspired you?
Well, like I said, Helmut Newton. Helmut Newton is like up here. And then there were people like Francesco Scavullo, who shot all of the Cosmopolitan covers.
Okay.
You know, he was a beauty photographer. Those are the guys that really I kind of thought, if I ever grow up, I'd like to do what they're doing.
That's
you know,
cool.
but of course, the Irving Penns and the Richard Avedons. There's a list of photographers that kind of are in my pantheon. But Francesco Scavullo and Helmut Newton, they're on their own level.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
up here.
I got you.
You know?
I got you.
And they really affected me. You know.
If you could give some advice to some of the up-and-coming photographers that's out there right now, what piece of advice would you give them to help them get to their goal faster than it may have taken you to get there?
I get a version of that question almost regularly on now Instagram rather than, say, Facebook.
Sure.
I get a version of that question kind of on a regular basis. And the last one that I got with that kind of thing in mind, you know, I want to shoot beautiful girls like you do. And I said, well, we do workshops to kind of get you into it. But with this one particular person, I got the vibe right away that he wanted the sexy girl thing, but wasn't willing to put the work in, wasn't willing to put the unsung hours in. And I just burned him off. It was like, if you don't have a passion for this, and you're not willing to give up everything for this, you're not going to be successful at it. I mean, don't even waste your time thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I kind of got real with him. I said, you don't have a passion for this. You know, you have a passion for the beautiful girl thing, but that's not going to get you here.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to create this level of work just because you like beautiful girls and
Right.
you're 18 years old.
Right.
You know?
Right. And the beautiful girls, they're going to come to respect you because of the professionalism and the photographs that come out. So what you gave him was a great piece of advice.
Well,
Because,
it's just like, you don't have the heart for this. You know, I'll be honest with you. You may think you do, but trust me, you don't. You don't have what it takes to give everything that is required to be successful at this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So find something that you're, you know, have that passion for.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because you could be successful at that.
Yeah.
But
maybe
without it.
maybe hop on Tinder and, you know.
Yeah, if you're doing this to just see beautiful girls, I'm going to tell you, it's just not going to happen for you. You know,
you might want to switch it up.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we would like to look at some of your collection, man, if that's okay. You know, we brought we got some stuff going on in the background. So
I didn't tell you this before, but I'll tell you now. What you're seeing now is something that Raven created last night. And it has all of these pictures are from the Love Letters collection.
Tell us about that. Tell us about the love letters. I was reading about that and how, you know, your mother inspired something about that.
But you know how passionate a love letter is?
Yeah.
Try writing a love letter if your heart's not in it. It's not going to happen, baby. You got to feel it.
You got to feel it.
You got to feel it.
You got to feel
you know,
it.
so it feels right to me that the first collection that I'm going to make available as a download is called Love Letters.
Okay.
And it really is kind of, the collection is, well, did you read that thing that I sent you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how much you know.
Well,
But-
you were talking about how the
Well, there was a song.
yes,
I think it was called Love Letters, Straight from Your Heart.
straight from your heart.
And it was this was way back. I think it was during the Korean War, and all these servicemen were off in this far land,
Sure.
with their lives at risk, and everybody sang this song. Elvis sang this song. Most of the pop singers at the time sang this song, and my mom would sing it to her 12-year-old son. And I'm listening to the lyrics to this song going, wow, I can hardly wait to be old enough that I can have a girlfriend and I'm going to write her a love letter. Just like this.
Yes.
You know. And so as it turns out, I thought this actually is my love letter to the industry. It's my love letter to the models that have given up so much of their time and kind of bought into my movie. And been such a huge part of making all this happen.
Yes.
You know, without them, I'm just a crazy guy with an idea. So it's kind of my love letter to the models, and a lot of it it's the love letter from the models to the industry, and it's one way of it's actually my way of saying this is what I love.
Yes.
This is what I do. These are the models that I care about.
Sure.
You know, these are the people that are in my life that mean something to me.
Yes.
And so it's very personal. There's nothing in this collection that means nothing to me.
I could tell. I feel that when I look at your work. I feel that when I spoke to some of the models, like in a little bit we're going to be talking to Wendy and Shawna.
Right.
And that's one of the questions I'm going to be
Shawna.
asking. Hey, we
You
talked
won't
to her.
see Shawna like that.
We won't see her like
But
that.
believe me, she can do that.
She'll be joining us in just a little bit, y'all. But yeah, I want to ask them, you know, where their loyalty comes from for you. You know what I mean? Because like you were mentioning something a little bit ago about the guy that wasn't passionate, like he didn't have that passion, and you being able to work with so many beautiful models. You know, Hanna was telling me he's like the Hugh Hefner photography around here, you know, because of your quality of models, you know, and the relationships that you had with them. Some people aren't able to sustain those type of relationships for that long because it'll be a one-shotter. It's like, oh, she came in and shot with me and she doesn't want to work with me anymore, or she's moved on to another photographer. But you keep a select group throughout the years. 'Cause I've seen various photos year after year of the same models, man. And
Well, you get a good one, you rope them in.
how do you keep them all on board with you?
The trick is you got to keep them happy.
Okay.
If the work wasn't happening at a certain level, then I'd shoot with them once and they would be in the wind. You know, so you keep them happy. You make sure that they are getting the kind of things that moves them forward.
Yes.
That represents them well. But I think that's the trick is really just making sure the work is of a certain level.
Yes.
And I do believe I treat my models well. I treat them with the respect that they deserve.
Sure.
And that keeps our relationship kind of on a plane where we can keep doing that.
That's great,
You know,
man. That's great.
The fact that I'm so happily married helps.
Sure.
In ways that only you can
Sure.
understand.
Right,
you
right,
know?
right.
I get everything I need with my relationship with Raven. I need them to come in and model like hell. That's what I need them to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't need anything more than that.
Got
you know?
got you.
And I think they understand that, and that, like I said, just keeps the boat, you know, on a level keel.
That's cool, man. That's
But
cool.
it's fun. It's fun to have people in my life that I've been working with for 10 years.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and nothing beats a beautiful picture of a beautiful girl that you respect and admire. That's a lot of fun to be part of that equation.
Sure.
I've signed up for that.
And I could just imagine, with some of the shots that I've been seeing, when you reveal them to the models after you got them all ready to go, and hey, look at this shot. Do you get a joy from seeing their joy? Because I've seen their joy from them posting up pictures that you've shot, like, oh my God, I just did the best shoot with Julian. You know what I'm saying? Does that bring you joy, to bring them joy as far as, giving them these great shots?
There are two kinds of models. I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
There are two kinds of models. And you'd only know this if you've had the experience that I've had. There are models that love being in front of the camera. And that's the high for them. I have a tendency to avoid that model.
Okay.
Because for me, it's about the pictures. It's
final-
about the pictures,
Sure,
honestly.
sure.
And it may sound selfish, but I'm really about what can we create together that can be a lasting image.
Gotcha.
If it's and all the girls will always say, "Oh, I had so much fun." Well, you know, for me, it's really not about the fun. I'm having fun, believe me.
Sure.
I'm having fun, but it's about what we can create. And I have a tendency to work the most with girls that kind of join me on that. It's about what we can create together, not about me being naked on camera.
Got you.
That's a different kind of model. But like I said, I have a tendency not to be so interested in that model because I'm looking for something that you know is that we can keep. That's art at the end of the day.
Sure.
You know?
You were mentioning off camera how you'll come up with an idea and you'll give the model some pointers on it and just kind of let her run with it sometimes. I mean, as far as, you know, how does that work?
You know something? That's almost a question I would save for somebody like Shawna or for somebody like Wendy.
Okay.
Sometimes something happens that I'm not expecting. And what happens when that happens is that something that I didn't plan, like even that shot, I don't relate to it as well. Does that make sense? It's almost like a child from another person's relationship. It's not my child. It's not my image. It's not my idea. So I don't relate to it the well. I have a tendency to appreciate and value the shots that I can relate to.
I got you. Has any of the models ever came with an idea for you after shooting with you and said, hey, you know what? We shot this by the fireplace or we shot this by the one couch. What do you think about doing it like this?
That conversation has never happened.
Really? So you're always the creative.
I wouldn't be so good with that conversation. Yeah.
I got you. I got you.
But even people like Shawna, it's neat that she's here.
Hi,
even
Shawna.
people
We're
like
gonna be talking to you
Shawna,
in a minute. She's back there chilling. In
who
the
I've
green
shot
room.
for 10 years.
Yeah.
Shawna knows never to ask me, and I don't think she ever has, the question, what are we going to do? The reason is that, to be honest, I usually had kind of a gestalt of what we're going to do, but I can't really say what it is. I can't really spell it out. I kind of have an idea of what we're going to do, but I can't really tell you what it is. And a lot of times, when a girl comes through the door, this is how we usually work.
Okay.
The girl, even if it's Shawna or Wendy, we will sit down for about 15 or 20 minutes, and we'll just shoot the breeze. And honestly, that's where the images come from, where I'm kind of vibing where they are, you know, how comfortable they are. And for some reason, that's when the images start for me. And I have never had to actually plan a shoot.
Wow.
Never. I've never planned a shoot, and I would never give this to a photographer as a way to do this, because you might get really screwed up if you don't have a plan.
Sure.
And in my case, I have so many toys available. I have so much history. I'm working with girls that anything I can think of, they can do, that I can, you know, just spur of the moment.
Right.
Think of what I'm going to do. I mean, very few images on here. Well, I would say I planned that out. You know, I would have a hard time looking at all these images and say, oh, well, I planned that. You know, because it happens kind of while we're doing it also.
Got you.
And on a shoot like that, I know that I'm shooting a horizontal. I know that I'm using the steps. In order for her body to look good, I know she has to be lined up a certain way.
Sure.
So honestly, there's not a lot of X factor in this.
Got you.
If that makes sense.
It does, because you're seasoned, and it's like, you know, when you're preparing a meal that you've cooked already, you know what goes into it.
A chef can make anything if you just give him a few ingredients.
There you go.
I have the ingredients. We can do this.
There you go.
So, and we do it on the fly. You know, we just do it on the fly.
So when is your love letters collection going to be dropping?
Well, let's see here. the best way to do it, we thought it might be available today as a download.
Oh,
We're
okay.
probably a couple days away because there's some things that we have to do with the mechanics to make it available as a download. But if you go to our website, I'll say it right here.
Go ahead.
Wildevision.com, wildevision.com, wild with an E.
Wild with
How
an
else
E.
would you spell wild? I get that all the time. Is that Wilde? No, that's
Wilde.
wild as in wild.
Right.
So wildevision.com, and we'll have an email sign up thing that you can get on, and then that will tell you exactly when the download is available.
Gotcha.
And they're basically an hour long. I think this is an hour and 10 minutes long. For reasons that may or may not be obvious, you're not seeing everything in the collection.
Sure.
I'm showing you what's available on, say, Facebook.
Okay.
These are all Facebook-friendly images. Now, that's
Sure.
an erotic shot, to be sure.
Sure.
But it's Facebook, safe.
Right.
However, the Love Letter collection is rated W.
Rated
And
W.
unless you ask me what W means, I'm just saying, just think about it.
Okay.
All
right.
It's not anything goes, but it's part of our
A little
branding
more, okay.
that we will step over the line from time to time.
Gotcha.
So don't think you know what's going to happen,
Hey,
because
I'm
you
excited.
don't.
I'm excited to see this.
So we
man.
keep it on that kind of edge.
That's cool.
That it's mostly like social media friendly. But if you don't throw in something every now and then that keeps it interesting, people think they've got your number. I wouldn't want anybody to think that.
So we got some surprises.
Yeah,
in the
there'll be
Love
some
Letter
surprises,
collection.
yeah.
Okay. And you're going to be putting out a series of those. You said, you're going to start with one
You know,
collection and then.
I actually did this. I did all the work during the pandemic. When your phone's not ringing, baby, you better think of what you can
got
do with
things to
yourself
do, yeah.
for 24 hours a day.
Right,
So I
right.
went into the archives.
Okay.
And we were very, during the pandemic, we were very careful about who we would have in.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
we vetted absolutely every client. And I have a tendency to stay with my regulars because I didn't want people walking through that door that I didn't know. I didn't know what they were doing in their weekend down in Vegas. I didn't want that in my studio.
Yeah.
So we basically, I started looking at the millions of images that I have to
Sure.
draw from. I thought, I'm kind of working in certain categories. I see, whether it's boudoir or whether it's beauty or whether it's fantasy or dreamlike images. I kind of had a tendency to see myself working in these categories. And so I made the categories official and started channeling work into the different categories. And in Love Letters, out of the millions of images, that's Wendy, out of the millions of images that we have, I, like I said, created these collections, all during that, what would have been downtime, but I'm strapped to the computer during the entire pandemic
I
doing
bet.
this.
That is
So-
cool, man.
I don't know if- did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I love your work. And with your studio design, I remember you saying off camera too, like, you've switched it around so much that people can't really tell where you're at. You know what I mean? Or was all that taken in the same location? You know what I mean? And I've often wondered, like, man, this guy must have a palace somewhere.
The size of a Costco.
And taking these pictures in all these rooms. It's right, the size of a Costco, because they're all different.
So when people walk in here, I can almost see the laugh. They just kind of go, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But you got to see it to believe it.
You gotta
And
see
then
it
they
to
go,
believe
okay,
it.
I get it. I see how you do it.
Yeah. So,
But even every one of these, that particular set,
yes.
one day.
Wow.
I only had that set for one day. I did that shot and thought, well, you know what? I think that's it. I think we're moving on.
Wow.
Scratch it,
That's deep, man.
But my favorite thing, now that this comes up, is honestly beauty.
Yes.
I started out as a beauty photographer, and I shot for agencies. The agencies like the Seattle Models Guild would send me 7-8 models a day, and this is for years. And they really wanted just kind of beauty out of me. So
Yeah.
I shot headshots. For the longest time on gray backdrop paper.
Sure.
And then there came a point where I thought, I need to create the place. I need to create the ambience.
Yes.
And
yes.
and that's when photography got really interesting for me.
I bet that's a
Yeah.
lot of fun, man. And you said you did architecture,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you build all your sets and.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's part of the gift.
Part
you know,
of the
if I
gift.
didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing.
Yes.
But you know, creating a set that is kind of erotic and suggestive.
We got the mascot.
This
in
is
the
my
building.
this is my boy.
What's up, man? How you doing?
That's my boy.
We got to get your microphone hooked up so we can talk to you a little bit about.
He did this during the demo that we shot. He came out during the demo and sat there. And went, okay, well, let's get him in the shot.
Came out to say what's up. That's cool, man.
So anyway, when we got Bodie, I fell in love with him at the Humane Society.
Okay.
That's what they call it, right?
Yes,
We
yes,
used to call it the pound.
The pound.
The dog pound.
Right.
So anyway, we're seeing him behind a glass window.
Yes.
And he came up to the window and looked at me and sat down. And I just went, oh, well, we were there just to look at cats. Mm-hmm. And I had such a connection with him. I said, I think that's my cat. So she got the handler to come out, but he had such a bad reputation. I'm talking bad reputation.
Was he tearing him up in there?
No, he was tearing it up. So, but the handler told us, well, we can't take you into a side room because we don't want to move him.
Wow.
We don't want to have to pick him up.
Right.
So she said, you're going to have to look at him inside here with all the other cats. So we went in through the side door and he kind of wrapped around our legs. And she said, you know, here's the thing. You're probably never going to be able to pick him up or hold him. I said, screw that. We're taking him.
Yeah, he'll get used to us.
Because I thought I just loved him so much. Well, actually, I wish he'd come over here so I could pick him up. Because I pick him up every day. I pick him up every day and tell him how much I love him. But
he's been in several shots too.
That was not supposed to be that way.
He's been in some shots that I've seen, right?
Yeah, he is. He's good. He's very handsome.
Now, how is it working with a pet when you're doing the
Well,
shots?
the cat, we have 2 cats, and they are here 24/7. They may not come out.
Sure.
But they are here 24/7. And what you have not seen is that we have pretty cat-friendly furniture, but more to the point, when models are not here, everything's covered up. That chair you're sitting in is covered up.
Got you.
Because cats have, they have certain needs.
Oh, yeah.
And so I let them work that out on other things, but not the furniture.
Not the furniture.
Anyway.
Is there anything you want to accomplish that you haven't yet with your photography?
J-Mac, I want to keep doing what I'm doing.
Just keep doing what you're
I
doing.
want to keep doing what I'm doing as long as I can, because I'm not hooked up to a plow or a corporate sponsor that says, Julian, this is what we want you doing.
Yeah.
Every day I get out of bed and say, well, wouldn't it be fun to have Shawna come over and shoot something different, So I'm happy doing that. There's nothing else I'd rather do. I don't even have a bucket list. I like what I'm doing. I'd be happy doing it as long as I can do it.
That's sweet. That's cool, man. Now, are females all you shoot? I mean, you've shot our group back in the days.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah,
My friend Hannah, he likes to take pictures of females as well, and Raj,
Hey, you can't blame them.
That's their preference,
You can't
pretty
blame
much, But have male models approached you and said, "Hey, man, you do some great stuff. I would love to."
I shoot a few, but I only shoot them if they kind of work into, I need them. I need a guy for this shot to work.
Sure. So someone couldn't just say, "Hey, man, how much for me to come in and do a shoot at your studio?"
Yeah, $600 an hour.
$600 an hour.
Yeah,
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
And just between you and me, that burns most of them off.
All right.
You don't have to worry about that.
Hey, there you go. Unless they're real serious about it.
And the ones that are serious about it, they will come in and we'll get it on.
Yeah. Heck yeah. That's cool, man. Well, hey, we want to see some of your collection, I think.
Well, you're seeing it right now.
Don't we have some of his stuff that we were going to check out? Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to go to a break real quick. Hey, I'm here with my man, Julian James Wilde, y'all. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to be right back at you. We're live in PDX. It's your guy, J-Mac. Peace.